Good morning, April. That's a great picture of you.
Yeah, better than the live one right now.
It doesn't matter. It does not
Oh, it
matter.
does. It
Well,
does.
yeah, I know. To you, it does. I get it. So, April, being that we don't have anybody on the call and this is an open forum, I'm going to give you a chance to share what's on your heart. And being that you've been educated for the past month of what we're seeing in all the paperwork, what is something that you want to get out to the group? And remember, this is going on my YouTube channel, and Chris can also send the link to you so you can get it out on your website and also your YouTube channel as well.
Great. So, what I'm seeing right now, forget August 17th, it's all happening today. So, as of today,
And why do you say that?
because as of today, the MLS rules changed throughout the state of California. So, you must, if showing property, you have to absolutely have a buyer representation agreement signed with your buyer with a solid number of commission in there as of today.
Okay. So
Who who enforces this? The MLSs will enforce it.
God help us.
How will they enforce it? I'm thinking random audits of closed sales. And if your paperwork is not perfect, you could be fined. Here's the other thing. If you don't follow the settlement, what's required of the settlement, then you are not covered by the settlement. If you think you can go out and show property without getting a buyer's representation agreement signed and that paperwork filled out properly, you are not covered by the settlement. So who benefits from that? Attorneys. Attorneys will start suing agents individually. So that's pretty scary.
Yeah, it is. So, April, let me give you a scenario, and I just want to clarify it with you. Debbie's going to be on in less than an hour. I'm sure somebody's going to ask this question. Let's say you have an open house and you have like 15 people coming through the door. Does every one of those people have to have a signed agreement with you before you let them in?
No, they do not.
Okay.
The CAR has made some open house lists that they could sign saying they're not being represented by you at all. They're just coming through the open house. But you can't force anybody to sign anything coming into an open house. So it's carved out. We're not representing them. We're not doing anything wrong by letting people through the open house.
But
Not to say,
it's only
not to,
if they want to it's only if they want to pursue writing an offer, correct?
yes, that they have to have a buyer representation agreement.
Got it.
Now, this is not to say some agents will demand that potential clients coming through the house have to sign some sort of representation agreement. And I think that is very scary because there isn't time to explain the whole process and what people are signing. It's a 3-page document. By the way, that has changed in the last few days as the listing agreements. Everything's been updated once again. So be aware. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. Potential buyers or sellers, anybody walking through that door could be forced to sign something by the agent doing the open house. And I would say to the public, you don't have to sign anything walking into an open house. You're not required to.
Okay, let me put a disclaimer out for those that are listening on YouTube or wherever platform you're listening to this. This is for California. We're in California. And what would you say to the people, April, that are listening in Oklahoma City, Texas, Miami, Washington? What would you say?
Check with your association rules and your MLS rules for your state because you will have very specific differences in what's required in those states. So check with your broker, check with your association at the state level and the local level, and MLS, the MLS rules in your state that should be taking place today, tomorrow. Everybody's pretty much on the same timeline. August 17th is the drop dead timeline.
Okay. Well, being that, thank God, Leo is CEO and way ahead of this and other companies, I am sure EXP agents in other states are very well versed, being that we're the first ones to put out paperwork, if I believe, Leo did and made his own form. Is that correct, or do I have my facts off?
No, that is correct. And there's other companies doing the same, but EXP is ahead of the curve, and they have created multiple forms for California, for other states, and USA forms. So forms that can work in any state. To find these forms, they're going to be in SkySlope under forms, and you just go into the category and you will find the EXP forms. You'll find them for California, Northern California, and EXP USA forms.
Okay. Now, I was able to see April in person on Saturday due to another matter. And I thought what we had was up to date paperwork as far as the contracts are concerned. And April commenced to tell me that these are already out of date, and I just hung my head. So give us a little feedback on that scenario.
So I've taken many classes with the CAR, forms trainers, MetroList, all of these different classes, and they kept getting the same questions over and over and over again from the agent. So there was confusion with the listing agreement. The biggest confusion is this unrepresented buyer portion, because we've never had that in a listing agreement before. Never. But I think what they are saying is they're anticipating this group of buyers coming along and saying, I want to go directly to the listing agent. I don't want to be represented because I don't want to pay anybody a commission to represent me. And that's why they put it in there, which led to a lot of confusion with agents thinking it was for dual agency. So they added a little verbiage that says not for dual agency
Okay.
right in there. So everything has changed a little bit. I noticed this the other day. They call them silent changes because there were no draft proposals out. In fact, CAR has removed all the draft proposals for the July changes. The June ones are still up there, but July forms changes have been removed from the CAR site completely.
Wow.
So they're making these little tweaks to answer the questions or to clarify things for the agents. So those changes are in the listing agreement, the purchase agreement, maybe a few other things. I haven't seen all of them yet, but I think there's about 4 different forms that were changed recently. Be very careful in going the route of unrepresented buyer. It's very easy to create an agency between 2 people simply by helping them. The minute you start helping someone, you've created an agency relationship. I'm telling agents, avoid this at all costs.
And why is that?
Because of the legal dangers of trying to represent the seller. You have a buyer come, I don't want representation. The minute you unlock a door for them, the minute you say something to them or help them fill something out, you've just entered into an undisclosed agency relationship.
Okay.
It's impossible. As I was told early in my career, it's impossible not to create an agency relationship. So don't go down that road of representing unrepresented buyers that way. Just tell them, sorry, I can't do it.
Right.
This has nothing to do with dual agency. Dual agency is fine as long as it's disclosed.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Obviously, April, you're very versed on this and very qualified to teach this class, which you do. My initial feelings that some of these some of the buyer's agents are going to screw up, and they're going to have a couple of months where they're not going to get paid because they didn't know the rules. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think we're going to have this shockwave starting today going through our whole process, because there are agents out there who have not been paying attention. There are agents who don't have hands-on brokers like we do. Thank God for someone like Leo. He's the best CEO we've ever had. And as he says, things are changing daily with these forms and with the agreements, which aren't totally 100% finalized, by the way. So everything's changing, and you have agents that are just going to be flying by the seat of their pants. Well, they're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah.
as a listing agent, if something comes across my desk and they didn't fill that out, which I actually had recently, I'm going to say to them, your form does not conform with the seller to pay form. You may want to fix that because I don't want to take advantage of somebody.
This is if an offer comes over, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Which actually happened recently. They didn't have to use the seller to pay because the commission was in MLS, but they did. We requested their buyer representation agreement, which they supplied.
Okay.
Did not, it was an older form, not any of the new forms, and did not have a commission in there at all. So I said, you may want to correct that. It does not, it does not concur with the form you submitted. Because the form you submit seller to pay has in there very specific language. And one of the things is when you submit that form, you must submit the last page of the BRBC form,
Yeah.
buyer representation form, which one of the changes on that form is they took out the personal information of the buyer's address and phone number out of that form and emails. So that part's been removed, which I have never filled that part out for any buyer on anything ever. So we've always had it in the purchase contract. I never filled that out because it's personal information. Why would you do that? So
In
they
all
have,
your years, is that the first time you've had to send a message like that?
yeah, because they've, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So, I've been doing my Fridays with Frank and I made a post and a couple of people commented that I painted a dire and dark picture of what's coming up. Could you put a positive spin on this? And I don't want it to seem like we're not going to be making any money, but some of the benefits of this.
The benefit is going to be that it will force you to actually have an in-depth conversation with your buyers about the whole process, because now you need to have them sign the buyer representation agreement. You absolutely are required to do this before you start doing any prospecting for them or showing them any property or even emailing them in depth about any property. So you need to have that conversation and do a buyer representation presentation to them. You can do it on Zoom. Guess what? Everybody gets a free Zoom account. Easy to do. You can meet with them anywhere, meet with them at their home, meet with them at their lender's office, a lender's office, at the title company, any number of places, and do your presentation. This is going to make you, as a buyer's agent, a much better agent. You're going to be your buyer's advocate, and you want to use that word advocacy for them. You will advocate for them. Now, it's still going to be a shockwave for those buyers because they've never had to pull out of their pocket to pay commissions. And they still may not have to 100%, but you have to explain how the process works.
So I went to a training class the other day and there was a couple of lenders in the room and people are still wondering, well, how are we going to get paid? They used two scenarios and I wanted to get your opinion on it. Let's say you have a house that's listed at 500,000. What some agents are doing now is they're writing the offer for 512 and hopefully if appraisal dictates it comes in at 512, you could use the 12,000 for your commission.
Yes, as long as you ask for the commission in the contract.
Right.
You must ask for it. It must be in writing. Now, if there's multiple offers, you may have to come in even higher.
Yes.
To account for that. So, yes, and then because here's the thing, not every agent is going to have an actual number. And we are being advised by XP not to necessarily have an actual number that your seller is willing to compensate. The great thing about this for sellers is that this commission to the buyer's agent is now negotiable. It
Yes.
can be negotiable. In the past, it really wasn't negotiable. And that was the crux of the whole lawsuit, was this commission wasn't negotiable. Once you had that unilateral offer of a certain number in the MLS, you had to stand by that number. You could not later negotiate that agent's commission away.
Okay, and here's the second scenario. Somebody makes an offer on your property, but there's no way the buyer can pay a commission to the buyer's agent. one of the lenders says, call the lender to see if there's any room for concessions.
Buyers can use concessions however they want. What you want to be careful about is if in our state of California, if a pattern is created where buyers are using commissions or concessions to pay their commissions all the time, that could be a problem. It's skirting the whole thing. What NAR and what CAR and what our management CEO are trying to do and have done is separate the two out. This is why you have in the contracts buyer concessions and commissions paid to the buyer's agent. Separate things. It's important to keep them separate. Not to say that they can't use part of that money to pay their concession. So say a buyer agent, they ask for a certain percentage, seller says, no, I'm only going to pay this percentage and I'm going to pay this much in concessions. Buyer can take that, pay the difference, probably should not be a problem.
Okay.
But I would be careful about doing this as a regular mode of operation, as a listing agent saying, oh, we're only going to pay buyer concessions. And then those concessions are being used to pay commissions.
Got it. Okay. April, I got to tell you, thank you so much for coming on because Chris, this was an awesome teaching class today. Have to tell you.
Yeah. And this is from April.
Yes. So I'm glad I popped in early because I wanted to check the connection to make sure I have the right link to listen to Penny because Debbie Penny, I plan to listen to that this morning. And hey, you guys were on, so why not?
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to end this right here. We're going to take about a 35-minute break, and then we're going to come on at 10 a.m. with the one and only Debbie Penny. And April, thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Every time I speak to you, you're so full of knowledge. And Chris will send you the link.
Oh, one last thing.
Yes.
I am teaching a brunch and learn this Wednesday in Elk Grove. So people could reach out to me. I'll be at the 10 a.m. class. So it's live class, 10 to 12. It's going to be at Fidelity Title on the east side in their huge conference room. And it's going to be about all of the same things we were talking about today.
Well, I plan on being there.
Well, I appreciate that.
So, all right, April.
See you at 10.
All right, Chris. Talk to you later.